Good Monday makers. In this episode, we're looking at a plant sunshade, an adjustable cover for a sandbox, a truck camper bed, and two different styles of trellises. Let's jump in and check out the builds. First up is this shade cover built by Claudia. She said they live in Arizona, and as you know, it gets really hot in that part of the country, and they wanted to build this cover that would protect the plants from the sun. So what they've done here is actually something really cool. I didn't notice at first glance. This entire shade structure is an L shape and goes all the way down and then into the corner and then creates kind of an L shape to cover their raised bed over here as well. And you can see here in this picture that they use the flanges, the recent flanges that we launched, kind of buried a little bit in the stone they have in this back yard area. And then they use that to have four verticals kind of covering this main area of their potted plants here. And then they kind of continued that same design and went all the way into the corner, just adding verticals every few feet, which will add some support to the frame. And I would imagine they use T connectors up here to kind of attach the verticals to the framework. We can see in the corners they use 90-degree connectors, which is really common. We usually see those for corner connections like that. And here we can see, it looks like, I think it is T connectors there on the verticals attaching to these long horizontal pipes. And then we can see that they added some more T bracing from side to side here towards the end of the L and also on the roof structure. So instead of it just being two pipes going all the way the whole length, they've got a third pipe that kind of runs in the middle, as you can see here with the T connectors. And then it goes into the corner and then extends. They have an L shape. Looks like they maybe just had two pipes going into the corner and then use T connectors here to kind of branch off and continue the L shape that covers the raised bed. So it's a really great design, and it looks like it's working great to cover all the plants. They said they're making some adjustments, but Claudia said it's working great for them, and they're really happy with it. And she said she also added some lights to it to make it a little bit more cozy at night, and we can see that in this picture here towards the end of the post where she added some lights to it, and it looks great. She did a really good job with the build. It looks awesome, and she attached the shade cloth. She said it's 50% shade cloth that's attached to the frame, and it looks like maybe just tied off there. Yeah, it looks like it's just tied off and secured to the frame using using the grommets that are in the shade cloth. And she said that they can adjust it whenever they need to based on where the sun's coming in. So really great design, great shade cover. Good job, Claudia, with the build, and thanks for sharing it. We love seeing it. Next up is an adjustable sandbox cover built by Kevin. And he said that they built this sandbox that's really simple design. It's from this old house, and they have this video tutorial here along with a complete write-up on how to build this sandbox. It says DIY sandbox in 9 steps. So that's the design they did for the sandbox. And then he mentioned some really interesting things on how he built this. Let's take a look at the structure first. So it looks like he used 4 of the flange connectors in the corner of the sandbox. He just had 4 verticals going up and then used, it looks like, 90-degree connectors in the corners. Like I said, we mostly see 90s in the corners, kind of create that box shape. And he just has this cube using the 4 90s and the 4 flanges over top of the sandbox. And then he said he used this shade fabric material. It's 8 by 8, so it's a pretty large shade material, and it's about $47, but it looks to be of pretty good quality, has a lot of good ratings. I'll link it down below. You can also find it on his post or in his post on the community. But he used that shade material, and then he has it where it can be raised and lowered, which is really smart because, you know, rain comes through and kind of makes the sandbox and the sand pretty gross after continued bad weather and things like that. So the sun shade or this canvas material can be lowered all the way to the ground and kind of cover the sandbox, as you can see here, and he's got some rope just tied to the grommets to kind of secure it in the 4 corners. But what's really cool is it can also be adjusted and provide different angles of shade, or it can just go all the way flat to the top. And the way he accomplished this was with these bungees. And I've never seen this style of bungee before, so I'm really glad he shared it. But you can see it's just kind of a closed loop with a hook on one end, and then the rest of it is this bungee material that you would normally see. And this allowed him to create this kind of hanger here at the very top. So when it's in this kind of configuration, he can secure the canvas material to those bungees. It looks like he's got maybe 8 of those all the way around. So that's a really cool hack for that. And then he's able to just, you know, attach half of them and then angle the material and then tie it off down here at this angle. So, you know, kind of create different shade based on the angle of the sun and what time of day it is and that that kind of thing. So it's a really smart design, really great build. Thanks so much, Kevin, for sharing that in the community. We love seeing it. Next up is a build from Ronald, and this was shared in the Maker Pipe community on Facebook, which will be linked down below. And he said that he's been working on his truck camper build. He's a first-time builder with conduit and Maker Pipe, and he built a bed and a folding shelf. And you can see here that originally he had it made out of wood, but he said he recently rebuilt it with conduit. And he has a really good design here for this bed. And we'll see, you can kind of see a wider shot of it here. So he used 3 flanges on this side, and it looks like the other side is just rubber pipe feet on the bottom of the pipes to kind of create the base. It's also looks like secured to the side of the bed using some clips that he has there, or some mounts there. But he's got this basically long rectangle shape, and it looks like it's reinforced every few feet. He used 90-degree connectors in the middle, 4-way connectors on the end. This is a really smart orientation of the 4-way and 90-degree connector, because what this allowed him to do is have one long continuous pipe on both sides, and then he has a vertical coming out to achieve the extra height that he wanted, and then a vertical going down to the ground or the truck bed, and then he's got a pipe that's continuous from the front of this connector all the way to the other connector. And he just mirrored the same thing on the other side. And this allowed him to just kind of create that extra height that he wanted, as well as have just one solid pipe all the way through. And this is really cool because he incorporated a hack that we talked about recently, which is one-hole straps kind of flipped over on the side, or kind of upside down. And he did that to create kind of a quick removable top. So he's got a ton of one-hole straps all the way around just to add the extra support that he needs, because he's going to be putting a bed on top. And it's a really great design. The pipes are covered, it looks like maybe shrink wrap. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that color before. So if you're watching and you painted those or you shrink wrap, I'd love to know, because it looks really great. It's a nice color, but it looks really good with the silver and then the black panels as well. And also incorporated into this is a paper towel holder. And if you watched our live Maker Pipe Monday last week, you'll know why that's funny. But he's got a paper towel holder here, and it's just a simple kind of L pipe that comes out using 2 T connectors, and then this vertical pipe can hold the paper towels on the pipe that's sticking up there. Also built this table as well, and you can see here that it's also mounted to his bed. I'd love to know what those mounts are, because they look really unique and handy to attach the pipe. But he looks like he used 1/2-inch EMT conduit, and then he said, somebody asked in the comments how he's able to achieve the swivel or kind of clamp onto the pipe that he swings up for the leg. And he said he drilled these into the wood, and this allowed him to kind of swing those legs up and kind of snap in place and kind of create this shelf. Because I was imagine, if you're camping in this and you want to utilize as much space as possible, that's usually how it goes in vans and trucks and different things that people camp in. You can kind of swing those up and have storage space under here, and maybe even swivel this whole thing out of the way, or just disconnect it, and then have this whole area over here for storage or just moving around and stuff. So really great design, great build from Ronald. Thanks so much for sharing that in the Facebook group. Really love seeing it. Next up is a build from Gregory. This is a tomato trellis that he just recently finished. Said he's glad to have found the company. We're glad that you found us as well, Gregory. Thanks so much for sharing your build. And he's got a raised steel garden bed here, as you can see. And the other day we saw a really clever mounting trick from Heather for securing the pipes on the outside of the frame, and it just attaches to the bolts that are in the raised bed. But Gregory did a little bit differently. He actually has the pipes just buried in the soil, which is totally fine to do. Galvanization of the pipes doesn't affect the soil, or it doesn't, poison the plants or anything like that, like you would see with treated wood. Galvanization is totally safe, which is why the beds themselves are made out of galvanized steel. So he's got the conduit just kind of buried in the soil, and he created 4 verticals that go up, and then he's got T connectors here at the very top, and that he just used with those T's in the corner, kind of create this square shape or rectangle shape all the way around the top. And then he added a cross brace with 2 T connectors here, and that allowed him to just have this kind of base structure that he could then add the trellis netting and this fencing around. So he's got this fence material that wraps around the bottom, and then he's got his arbor rope or net kind of just attached to the pipes at the very top, and they just go down and give the plants some support. Really great trellis design, really simple, but really effective. Thanks so much, Gregory, for sharing that. We're again glad you found us. Thanks for posting it in the Facebook group. Next up is another trellis design, and this is from Lee, and she said she just recently finished her tomato and cucumber trellis, and she painted all of the pipes with oil-rubbed bronze spray paint. It looks really good. And she said that they have these bars around the bottom that they can use for spring protection. So you can see here she's got this greenhouse material that she adds to bottom pipes and kind of creates a greenhouse box around the plants here. And that's what she just used, and that's why she used these 4 connectors here to kind of create this box shape because it'll support the plants. And it looks like she's using some plastic clips to secure the greenhouse plastic on there. Looks really good, and it looks like it's working just fine. And then here in the middle, she's going to have cucumber plants, she said, and she built basically just a cross pipe that are actually 2 cross pipes that go between the other 2 structures. And then she's using some cattle panels or some hardware cloth here against those bars, and she attached those with just some Velcro straps. Really simple, great technique for securing that, and it's going to give those plants there in the middle something to grab onto. So really great build. You can see she's got some raised beds, looks like on like a back deck or patio area, and she's just got the stands kind of freestanding here around the raised beds. It's a really great design and looks like it's going to be awesome for growing and gardening. So thanks so much, Lee, for sharing that. You did a great job with the build. We love seeing it. That's all the projects I have for you this week. Thanks everybody for posting your projects. We love doing these episodes. If you want to check out any of the builds in more detail, they'll all be linked down below. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a happy Memorial Day, and we'll see you in the next video.